I'm going to over dye some hand dyed yarn using coffee. Well, not this coffee. This coffee I'm going to drink, but other coffee. So stay tuned and let's see how this works out. Hi, my name is Diane, and this is My Pink Bathtub Knits. Welcome. Welcome if you're new, and welcome if you are a returning subscriber. It's good to see you. I have an acquisition that I didn't really like, so I'm going to attempt to over dye it using coffee. I'm not going to say who the dyer is. I've taken the label off of the hank of yarn because it's not the dyer's fault, it's my fault. It ended up coming to me in a much brighter color than I anticipated. It is a yellow. I'm going to show you what it looks like. And it is not, it looks really nice on the screen to be honest, but it is neon yellow. I'm not sure if it's going to pick it up. I mean, if I shut the lights off, it would probably glow in the dark. I love the speckles in it. Love that. And I love that there's transition in the color. But I thought it would be a much more paler yellow. The reality is, well, that's easier to tell. The reality is I don't like this color. And it's just going to sit in my yarn room and nothing's going to ever be made with it. So I thought I would attempt to do something drastic and over dye it with coffee. It's a natural product. I didn't want to use any dyes or anything like that. I have found an old enamel roasting pot, and we are going to attempt to change the color. I have been collecting my coffee grinds. I usually use them in my front flower beds, in my lilies to keep the red beetles away. So I was collecting them anyway. I'll show you all the steps that I go through and explain. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I am no expert. I never thought I would ever hand dye any yarn, to be honest, but I'd like to see what will happen to this hank. It actually doesn't look terrible on the screen when I'm looking at it right now, but trust me, it's neon yellow. So let's go to my kitchen with the coffee that I'm drinking and see if we can turn this into something a little like a warmer caramel brown color. And if it's an epic fail, I wasn't going to use this color anyway, so all experimental. Just a side note, I did get this on sale. It was like under $20, so that is a steal for hand-dyed yarn to begin with. I'm really hoping that the black splotches are going to stay and not go out. So this is going to be fun. Let's see how we can what we can do with this, and I'll just explain a little more in detail as we go along. I am adding 12 cups of water into this roaster pan. I'm using enamel and something that I don't use as a regular everyday cooking pot. Even though we're doing something with a natural form of dye, I don't want anything to leach out of this dye, so I'm just trying to be extra careful here. I don't want to call it a tutorial. It might be a hot mess. Who's kidding who here? But I decided I'm going to use this pan. I have a induction stovetop, so for those of you that have those type of things, it has to be a completely stainless steel or enamel for it to ignite the heat. I'm just going to use some of my Dawn soap in it. Now I have to get this to a slow, a warming kind of phase, not boiling. And so what we're going to do is we're going to turn this on. We're just going to have it on a light simmer, and we're going to do this for an hour. In the meantime, we are going to be brewing an incredibly strong pot of coffee. I do have some leftover coffee from the other day that I put in a jar. And then I've also been saving my coffee grinds, which I normally use in my garden, but we're going to be using it for this experiment and make a really strong pot of coffee. We're probably going to make more than one. Did I mention I don't know what I'm doing? Hope this doesn't overflow, but we'll let that go while this is going. It's at a nice little light heated state, so we're just going to put the lid on it while our coffee is brewing, and I'm going to enjoy my coffee in the meantime. I also put in some vinegar into this, so it needs to be used as a mordant to hold the color. So I'm going to rinse this now. It's been probably 45 minutes. I'm a little impatient. I don't want to over process it, like handle it too much, but it is definitely quite warm and has had vinegar in there as well as kind of a setting agent to take on the new color. So let's rinse it. The color is obviously very set in there because I'm assuming it was an acid dye. It looks a little more yellow now. My objective is to make this a little more browny. God, this is going to be a hot mess. I already know it. So here's some coffee from a couple days ago. I'm also just going to brew some fresh coffee from a brand that we've had kicking in our cupboard for a while that we don't normally drink unless it's a complete emergency and we're out of coffee. Then we will drink this. It's Sorry Maxwell House. Okay, making it super strong. One more scoop. And we'll add that to the mix. And we wait. I poured in some vinegar. This is a natural mordant. I didn't have anything like cream of tartar is another option, or alum, I think it's called, which is another form of spice. I didn't have either one of those. So this is going to smell like Malabrigo, and that's, I guess, not a bad thing. Did I do it in the right order? Absolutely not. Why would I? If you use tea bags, and that was another option, that has a natural tannin in it to use as a mordant. to set the color. And because if you don't do it, it's apparently going to just wash right out. Just going to pour some more coffee in as it's brewing. And I think I'm going to heat it for a good hour on the stove. Then I think I'm going to take it off the burner and just let it set overnight. And then I'll rinse it in the morning and hang it. So that's the goal. To me, this would be the perfect color, the perfect shade. I don't anticipate it getting this dark. I can see that the black speckles are still there. So I wasn't sure if anything would wash out. So I'm pleased about that. If it ends up being this color, I would be quite happy. Quite happy. What is the saying about watching a pot boil? Should make up a new saying about watching a pot dye yarn. So far, I have no regrets. No regrets. I may have tangled up the hank a bit, so that's probably my only regret. I should have done like a zip tie or something on the one end so I could pick it up better. I'm pretty sure it's a little messed up, but I have faith. This is looking beautiful. So, didn't really follow the rules, but I hope I got there in the end. So we're going to let it sit now overnight, and we're going to report back tomorrow morning once I get it all rinsed out, I guess. I hope I didn't like screw up the hank too much, but my coffee maker's still going. Anybody want a slightly used cheap coffee maker? Okay, so I have turned the heat off on this, and I'm going to scooch it over to the other element, and I am just going to let this sit overnight. I also ooh, that looks good, but it's going to get rinsed out. Do I need to do it overnight? I don't know. Maybe I don't want to do it overnight. In my next episode, we're going to talk about these bougie bears. We're also going to talk about this little guy. This is a Claire Garland's latest release called the Honey Bear. And at the end of May, I will be on YouTube for 1 full year. So make sure you check out this next episode because there might be a giveaway. Might be. I don't know. The more I tried detangling the yarn, the worse it got. So I escaped to my yard to clear my head and, well, to be honest, to avoid it. I knew I had to get back in there and sort it, so I think I'm just gonna have to wind her up. It is now fully dry, and it did lighten once it dried up, but I like the color, and I especially like that the black speckles are still present. It is essentially solid. There's no variation in the color, but I'm happy with it. I will definitely use this. The only problem is this. Okay, it looks worse than it is. Yeah. I would highly encourage anyone who's dyeing yarn and doesn't know what they're doing to put a couple extra ties in there and to hold on to one of the ties at all times when you're squeezing the yarn out. I mean, I've had worse, so I think I'm just going to wind it up in my ball winder. It's going to take me a while, but I am stubborn and I'm going to do this. Should I do this? It's either my sanity at this point, because I feel like I'm getting frustrated, and I mean, this is only going to get worse. Like, it's already pretty bad. It's lightly tangled, but it's just getting worse and worse, and I know when to stop. So, you know what, you guys, I'm just going to do it. Stop laughing. This is clearly for your enjoyment. There's no going back now. After much consulting with the voices in my head, I have decided to wind up this yarn by hand and just have an enjoyable afternoon catching up on some YouTube videos. I'm sorry your services are no longer required. It's only been a few hours, my friends, and we did it. I am very, very happy with the color. Here's what it looked like before we dyed it with coffee. Learned a lot. Here's a quick recap. I would have put more vinegar in the soap soak. The reason why I did the soap soak is I did a lot of research, and a few people said that it was a good idea to clean any sort of existing residue that may be on the yarn because it was pre-dyed. So I did it, and I figured I would kill two birds with one stone by putting the vinegar in both the coffee and the soap soak. I probably would have used more vinegar because the ratio wasn't exact, but meh. I already know what I'm going to do with this. I have the book Moosh and Friends, and I'm a big toy maker, and I'm going to use this color to make some animals, possibly Hazel the squirrel, because she has been calling my name lately. I have not done anything from the book, but it does take fingering weight yarn, so I'm willing to give this a try. But please don't judge me on my poor attempt of dyeing yarn, but this was an experiment. I am in no way an expert. Do your own research so you have success. And the big tip is to put a couple extra ties on your yarn and to make sure that you hold on to one of them at all times, especially when you're rinsing out your yarn, to avoid it from getting all twisted and tangled. That was a me thing, but it was a fun experience, and hey, I didn't have to cut the yarn. It was well worth the couple hours of just casually rolling it up while I was doing laundry and watching YouTube. So thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you like what you see, I hope to see you again real soon. Take care and bye for now.